When I'm working on oral motor stuff with a 10-month-old, like we're on the floor, we're not in a high chair, we're connecting, we're playing, we're jiving, we're getting in the mouth, we're biting objects, not people. Get him up, working on his core, his trunk strength. Remember that what happens at the hips affects the lips. So really work on the core and the trunk strength.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and this is All Things Sensory by Harkla.
We are both certified occupational therapy assistants, and together with Harkla, we are on a mission to empower parents, therapists, and educators to help raise confident and strong children of all abilities.
On this podcast, we chat about all things sensory, diving into special needs, occupational therapy, parenting, self-care, overall health and wellness, and so much more.
We are here to provide raw, honest, and fun strategies, ideas, and information for parents, therapists, and educators, as well as other professionals to implement into daily life.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey there, welcome back to All Things Sensory by Harkla. We're so happy to have you here for another fantastic, unique episode.
I think this one actually is unique.
This one is. I'm actually really excited about this one.
This one's more unique than the others.
Yes. I'm Rachel.
I'm Jessica.
And today we're talking about specifically supporting a 10-month-old with feeding, oral motor development because of a thread that we found on Reddit.
Okay, so here was I guess it's a question that was on this Reddit thread. We will link the thread in the show notes, so if you're interested, you can go check it out. This person says, my son is 10 months old and is struggling with solids and losing weight. Occupational therapy said that he struggles with tongue lateralization. I've been trying to do exercises to help him, but he absolutely hates them. Would a speech therapist help in this case to help him with his oral motor mobility?
Okay, lots to unpack here. First of all, love that you've seen an occupational therapist and you've got some things to do. I think my first initial thought is that we need to make it more play-based, and we need to, instead of thinking of it as let's incorporate these activities during play, maybe away from the high chair, on the floor, movement, what happens at the hips affects the lips, like really working on the core strength and the postural stability as well as the tongue movements.
Yeah, because my thought was if this 10-month-old is already in OT, then that means that this 10-month-old is likely not hitting developmental milestones, is delayed, is there an underlying diagnosis that they already have or maybe don't know about, because those are really important factors as well. 10 months old, is this baby crawling yet? Mm-hmm. Are they showing signs of being ready to crawl, or are they so delayed that they're not even able to get up on all fours? Because that is going to also impact if this baby is ready for solids. Mm-hmm. If this baby is not meeting developmental milestones, if they don't have good core stability, good upper body control, good head control, maybe the baby's not even ready for solids yet. Maybe. And that's actually the bigger issue.
Maybe, yep.
If they're struggling with tongue lateralization, chances are they're also struggling with overall mobility and strength throughout the entire oral structure. So they're not ready.
Mm-hmm. I would also suggest ruling out a tongue tie. Sometimes if we have that anterior tongue tie and the child can't lateralize their tongue because it's restricted, that's something that we want to rule out. 10 months, it's going to be a challenge to get that tongue tie released, but it's obviously doable. But we want to make sure that we're consistent with the exercises. Here we go. The exercises, the post-op care, the stretches that we need to be doing. And, I'm curious if this baby was able to latch, or
if there's always been feeding difficulties.
Exactly. Did we latch successfully, or did we, move to a bottle because the latch wasn't working? Was there any torticollis, kind of like what you mentioned, torticollis or plagiocephaly as well? But I think making sure that we're ruling out that tongue tie, seeing an IBCLC, a pediatric dentist, someone who specializes in this area, who's going to look at function, not just, there's a tongue tie, but it's more of a posterior tongue tie. It's not necessarily going to impact lateralization or movement. So let's keep an eye on it, but maybe we don't need to intervene right now. Or really tight. Did I show you the picture? I was on Instagram and saw this guy's story, and he had his daughter with him. they were eating, and she opened her mouth to like, just, you know, she was talking while she was chewing, you know, young girl, young. And all I could see was like the most severe tongue tie.
Really?
I screenshotted it and I was like, oh my word. Like attached to the very tip of the tongue. Oof. I was like, do I say something? Like this guy is like almost 1 million followers. Like I'm sure someone probably said something.
I don't know.
Right? But I was like, oh shoot. So anyways, look at function. If that tongue tie is impacting function, rule it out.
Just a quick reminder that now is the time to sign up for our early bird Black Friday sale, which means you get early access to shop our products and our digital courses before the sale goes live to the public. So you can sign up for this early bird list from the 1st through the 9th, and shopping begins on November 10th. So make sure you click the link below, you get signed up, and you can shop this huge sale.
I was also thinking, look at getting a swallow study. Anytime there's feeding challenges, I think that we need to rule everything out. I'm also curious if this baby is a mouth breather, if they have the open mouth posture,
because lower
muscle tone. Again, they're already in OT at 10 months old, so that tells us a lot already, I think. But we want to look at everything, and maybe even looking into oral myofunctional therapy.
Malfunctional therapy. Orofacial
I can never get the words right for that one.
I don't say orofacial malfunctional therapy. I just say myofunctional.
Myofunctional therapy.
Yeah.
Look into that as well. And then we do have some different tools that we would recommend to this parent. The first one would be the Z-Vibe from ARC Therapeutic.
Yep.
This is a really great tool. It's just a vibrating mouth tool, teether. You can give it to the child if it's safe for them to hold it and use to put in and around their mouth. You can also use this as preparatory before feeding to help stimulate the muscles of the cheeks, the lips, the tongue, inside the mouth. Z-Vibe is one of my favorite tools ever. Ever, hands down.
Yep. And then also I would look into bite blocks, where they're different sized little silicone blocks that you put into their mouth, and you practice like that sustained bite, lip closure, practice that bite. You could also look into something like a Munchee, where the like little mouth guard goes into their mouth and then they close their lips around it, and then they chew and they practice their chewing with their lip closure. A lot of our kids nowadays aren't chewing their food. They're struggling with that jaw development. You see, if you just Google pictures of, you know, jaw development nowadays, you'll see that everyone's palates are super narrow and just concave. He probably has, you know, bags under his eyes as well. Just thinking of like if we are having, you know, some muscle tone challenges, low muscle tone, mouth breathing, that type of stuff. So bite blocks, the Munchee. I was thinking I don't think there's any others for this age group that I would do, but even just like Chewies,
I would do the bite and vibrate teethers.
Bite and vibrate teether, it's a good one.
You can just find those. I mean, they're at Target, they're at Walmart in the baby section. It's usually like Amazon. It's like a piece of fruit or a star, and your child can bite it, and then it vibrates when they're pushing down on it with their teeth. So that's a really great one as well.
Yes. And then nuke brush, finger toothbrush, like getting in the child's mouth just to provide some tactile stimulation, desensitize if needed. The nuke brush is like kind of like the Z-Vibe, but it's a little textured probe that you could, probe sounds weird, thing, I don't know, stick, I don't know, but you get in their mouth and you can stimulate. I also would do like extra oral, so like on the outside of their mouth, stretches, like move their lips like out, in, lips, sing songs while you're doing it, make it fun, make it silly, but just like get around and in their mouth.
And around the mouth area.
In and around, okay?
But these things need to be done during playtime, right? So we don't want to just use these different tools during feeding, but these are great preparatory tools to use before feeding, but we also want to incorporate them into the daily play routine without food.
Yes. I was also thinking change the temperature of items. So put your child's teethers or Chewies or food into the freezer and give them cold foods to chew and munch on. Gets them a little bit more awake, more oral motor inputs, you know, maybe more sour, salty, like really change the sensory
10 months depending.
Experience.
At 10 months depending.
Maybe
right?
not.
Flavor wise.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you guys are eating, you know, let them explore it, and Obviously proceed with caution, but I think this is a good starting place. And, when I'm working on oral motor stuff with a 10-month-old, like, we're on the floor, we're not in a high chair. We're connecting, we're playing, we're jiving, we're getting in the mouth, we're biting objects, not people. Like, it's
toys,
just a really
mouthing toys.
Yeah,
yes.
Set him on a therapy ball.
Yes.
Get him up, working on his core, his trunk strength. I think it's a boy. I don't know. Yeah, they said he. Remember that what happens at the hips affects the lips. So really work on the core and the trunk strength, and ask your therapist, hey, my child's struggling with these, do you have any other ideas of what we can do, any other strategies? And if they don't give you anything, then say, okay, and maybe go see a speech therapist, if you're not feeling a good jive. Maybe we gave you everything that you needed here.
I think a good speech therapist could help, because oftentimes we see these types of challenges associated with speech and language development. Mm-hmm. So a speech therapist could be helpful in that way. Working with somebody who specializes in the oral structures, who specializes in feeding, could absolutely also be helpful.
Yeah. If you have a child who is in this boat, or if you work with clients in this boat, let us know if this episode was helpful. I feel like I really like these episodes where we find like a pain point and we can hopefully help. And
it's like the brainstorming.
Yeah. It's just great. So if you have any ideas, or if you have any questions that you'd like us to go over, if you have any Reddit threads you'd like us to go over,
apparently that's the new thing.
Send them our way. We would love that.
Okay. Yeah. If this was helpful, like Rachel said, let us know, and we'll be back for another episode next week.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to All Things Sensory by Harkla.
If you want more information on anything mentioned in the show, head over to harkla.co/podcast to get the show notes.
If you have any follow-up questions, the best place to ask those is in the comments on the show notes, or message us on our Instagram account, which is at Harkla_family or at All Things Sensory Podcast. If you just search Harkla, you'll find us there.
Like we mentioned before, our podcast listeners get 10% off their first order at Harkla. Whether it's for one of our digital courses or one of our sensory swings, the discount code SENSORY will get you 10% off. That's SENSORY.
Head to harkla.co/sensory to use that discount code right now.
We are so excited to work together to help create confident kids all over the world. While we make every effort to share correct information, we're still learning.
We will double check all of our facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art.
One doctor or therapist may have a different way of doing things from another.
We are simply presenting our views and opinions on how to address common sensory challenges, health-related difficulties, and what we have found to be beneficial that will be as evidence-based as possible.
By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or your child.
Consult your child's pediatrician or therapist for any medical issues that he or she may be having.
This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast.
Thanks so much for listening.